I'd like to say a little bit more and kind of flip it around a bit to talk about being misunderstood when you do have Asperger's syndrome. Um, the good news about getting a diagnosis is the awareness and the ability to spread that awareness around and speak out and, educate. The bad news about getting a diagnosis is that realistically, you can't always explain it to everybody. You can't always, instantly explain something as complicated as being a little bit on the autism spectrum, but having the speech and being able to, seem to be socially typical for the most part, even if it is and was a learned behavior. Can't always explain that to people. Now, people with Asperger's have brain differences that can cause them to have sensory issues and have to think about what to say in terms of a social situation. No matter how good we are at it, it may not come naturally to us. And it's so hard for people to understand when you can present fairly well and speak, pretty proficiently, that there's an autism spectrum going on underneath that may present as what it's not and look like a mental illness or being off the beam or being, too intense or being too held back and responding to emotions differently or presenting a different emotion than what you're trying to express on the surface. That's really hard, and the diagnosis doesn't necessarily fix that. You may still present that way. People who don't know about Asperger's may use descriptive words for you like eccentric or intense or shy and held back. I mean, people may accept or think of these things as part of your personality, and then really, instead of overly explaining it, it's up to you to determine whether it is a good time for you, even with your energy level, to explain and educate about Asperger's, or whether you just want to let it go and realize that, it's not worth your time, and that if somebody thinks you're weird or whatever, then that's their problem. So, with my son, when I'm at the store or he's behaving oddly and yelling, I'll often jump to over explaining, he's autistic, he's overstimulated. People will stare and glare and, make judgments about me as a parent. Sometimes maybe, say I'm tired and he's behaving a certain way, and it's like asking myself, do I really have the energy to explain this right now? Or do I just want to let this go and know who I am and know what is going on in my heart and, accept that that person doesn't know what's going on and that they're making a misjudgment, which I know is wrong. Can't change the world in one day, pretty much. So, it is hard and it's painful, and it takes a lot of security to be able to stand strong. And people with Asperger's, like, I can't read faces very well, and I will feel something from somebody, like an anxiety. It may not necessarily mean that they're judging me, they may just be nervous for me or whatnot. So that's that could be to remain in question. Do I have the energy to investigate whether that person is thinking this way or that way? I do a lot of safeguarding and preventing, and by over explaining, just in case that person thinks this or whatnot. And is it always, we can't read other people's minds, regardless of whether we're on the autism spectrum or not. You can't always control what other people are thinking and feeling and read their minds. And often the way that they're reacting to something is a reflection of them. themselves and not you necessarily. So all I'm saying about that is it necessary to over explain all the time the Asperger's syndrome and the autism, in your autistic child or whatnot? I mean, they've got great features now, like cards, cards for parents. Please be patient. My child is autistic. That's always a good strategy if you're too tired to explain it. I mean, that kind of takes care of it. So that would be a good one. But, say you don't have those cards on hand, or you just don't feel like you need to provide an explanation. Do we always need to provide an explanation for other people? I'm not saying that education is not important and awareness is not important, because it is very important. I'm just saying that sometimes for you, for your own self, it's a great exercise uh, for yourself and for your own building of self-esteem and security to just sometimes let people go. Let people go in their misjudgments, in their conclusions about who you are, because it's not true. The guy upstairs, or the universe, or God, or whatever you want to believe in, knows that it's not true. The truth is the truth. Regardless of what conclusions people come to about you, you know the truth. God knows the truth. So, yeah.